Do you start with chanting in the afternoon?
Not usually.
Not usually. Okay.
We can't.
You don't have to if you do. Okay, good afternoon. Did you have a good lunch? Not something too heavy to put you in a sleepy mode, like I did? Actually, I was joking. Okay. All right, so let's look at the next psalm. It's probably part of the same psalm, but so it's a continuation of the song, I think, kind of like that, because it's a response to the nuns who said to Milarepa that they would provide him with a meditation cabin. And he said, well, I have my own meditation castle, you know. So let's see what he says. This is page 9. Okay, so this is instead of a continuation, it is a new song. So it begins with homage to his teacher. I bow at the feet of my father, the wish-fulfilling jewel, which means the one who fulfills all wishes of sentient beings. Grant your blessing that your son meet with in conducive conditions. And of course, we know that what he meant by conducive conditions is not what we, in a normal sense, would think of. We would think, oh, if I'm going to go into retreat, I need to have my food all, stored away in the retreat, and I would need some money saved, for the future. I would need warm clothes. I would need running water, a toilet, something like that, electricity. That's what we think of. At the Kadidi Monastery where I live, we have a meditation cabin where an American Ani did retreat for 12 years. And she did it with no problem. There was no water, so somebody had to run water into a big barrel or something. I'm not too sure how it went, but she had to have water supplied for her. And there is no toilet. So she had to do something. I don't know what she actually did. I heard that she just kind of dumped her thing outside her cabin in the back. And then it naturally decomposed or something like that. And she did fine, 12 years. Never came out, And but after her, almost no one wanted to take the cabin. It's like, what? No toilet? Oh, we do now. We have an outdoor, outhouse kind of thing. No. No water? Oh, no, thank you. So that's what, we want these conducive conditions for our retreat. But that's not, of course, that's not what Milarepa meant here, It's not, he didn't need all that. I think what he meant by conducive condition is that there's no one, no one to bother him, Please guide me in coming to the certainty that my own body is the deity's palace. Like I said yesterday in the teaching on Vajra, we think of ourselves as the deity, but actually that also includes the deity's palace. It may not be physically our body is the deity, and it is also the deity's palace, but we are thinking the deity is within a palace, and that is also none other than ourselves. So he's praying to his guru that may he come to the certainty that that is so. But I think, of course, he's singing these songs all for the benefit of the people who were there, to listen. So I think at this stage of his meditation and his realization, he really did not need to have the certainty. He already has realized that he is the deity, that his body is the deity's palace. But for the person who hears it, he wants them to come to the understanding that this is the case. Because of fear, I was worried and built a castle. Of course, he had no fear, but he's just, for the sake of the people who are listening. This castle is a castle of Dharmata's emptiness. So remember, previously he said, "Oh, well, I already have my meditation castle." So this is the kind of castle he's referring to. He already has the castle. And what is that? That is the Dharmata's emptiness, or we can say the emptiness, which is Dharmata. Dharmata means, Dharma means, Dharma, Dharma. And Dharmata is itself, the Dharma itself, or the nature of all things, that itself. So what's the nature of all things? That's Dharmata. And what is that? It is emptiness. And that emptiness is my castle. Usually you build a castle to protect, right? And he's saying here that my best protection, my protection, is the castle, which is emptiness. And why is emptiness the best protection? Because if you do not hold on to a truly existent self, then no harm can come to you, because there's no object to that harm. The harm has to come to an object. And if that object does not exist, then the harm cannot function, cannot reach its purpose. So if that object is you, and there is no such thing as you have realized that there's no you, there's no self, then whatever harm that is directed towards you will have no object, would have no, just like if you're shooting an arrow, there has to be the target. If that target, it does not exist, the arrow can only shoot in the air, it would not land on that target. So likewise, if you don't hold on to a self, then whatever harm that may come cannot hurt you, because it does not have a target. So that is my best protection, he says. That is my castle. And next he says, now I have no worry over it collapsing, because that castle is emptiness. So of course it will not collapse. There's no way it can ever collapse. Because of the cold, I was worried and searched for some clothes. Again, this is figure of speech. He was not cold, as he said repeatedly in the previous songs. His body is free from cold and heat. But anyway, he says, I was worried. Of course, he was not. But anyway, you know what he's saying, right? You won't misunderstand him to be worried, to be cold or hot, right? At this point, you have already resolved and understood that. So he said, I was worried and searched for some clothes. And so he said that in order to point out what he's going to say next. These clothes were the clothes of Chandali's letter A. Now I have no worry over any cold. So what he's saying here is that because the Chandali practice, which I explained earlier, provides inner heat, and that visualization usually, starts with the letter A in Tibetan, and so because of that practice, and that practice is my clothing. They are my clothes. This letter A and the practice of Chandali, that is my clothes. That's what I wear. because it provides heat. So now I don't have to worry about feeling cold. Because of poverty, I was worried and searched for riches. Those riches were the inexhaustible seven noble riches. He would never search for riches, as we already know, but just for the sake of telling the students, what kind of riches he had. He said, I was searching for riches. And what are they? What are the riches that he came to possess? Those were the seven noble riches, which were inexhaustible. The seven noble riches are first, faith, and second, discipline. So that's, if you have faith, you're rich. If you have discipline, you're rich. And then third is learning and studying. So if you learn it and you study, and you are rich with knowledge. And fourth is generosity. We often think that generosity, by giving away your position, your wealth will decrease because part of your wealth is already given away. But actually, generosity is the best source of wealth, because by giving away your wealth, you are accumulating a tremendous amount of merit. And through that merit, you will then, in the future, whether in this lifetime or in future lifetimes, you will come to possess a great deal more of wealth than you do now. And that is just the law of karma, and that is how the act of generosity really works. There was a friend who once asked me, because we have an organization for the Chinese Dharma students, which is called Ocean of Merit, and so we were discussing what kind of programs we should design, for the students, and people all want to get rich or have money, and that. So she said, how about if we host a Zambala, a Zambala empowerment, something like that. Because everybody likes Zambala, the god of wealth. And so I said, the best Zambala is your own generosity. Your own generosity is your Zambala. So kind of that illustrates the point I was trying to tell you, is that if you're stingy and you don't give, even if you pray to Zambala, you won't be rich. But even if you don't pray to Zambala and you're always giving, you're always performing generosity, you will, like it or not, you will become wealthy, whether in this lifetime or in the future lifetimes. So generosity is one of the seven noble riches. And then the next is modesty. That's also, your wealth. Next is decorum, or knowing shame. That we are not always very proud. That we always know our own defects and be humble. So if you have that, then that's your richness. And finally, prajna. Prajna is a wealth, because if your own insight, your own intelligence, your own wisdom, that is wealth and richness, over everything else. Okay. So he says, now I have no worry over poverty. And the next, he says, because of hunger, I was worried, searched for some food. This food was the food of the samadhi of Dhammata. Now I have no worry over hunger. And so this kind of the samadhi, usually it means deep meditation, and this kind of meditation is usually shamatha meditation. As I said this morning, the shamatha meditation. But it's more than a shallow regular meditation. It's very you're absorbed in that meditation. You're very, very, very deep in meditation. That's what it's called samadhi. But here he says, I have this samadhi of Dhammata. So that is not a shamatha meditation anymore. That is beyond shamatha meditation. The samadhi of Dhammata is the samadhi of emptiness, being absorbed in emptiness. That there's not a self. That samadhi is just emptiness itself. So there's not a perceiver of that samadhi, because there's no object that can perceive that I am in this samadhi. So the object and the subject and the meditation itself, all these three have all blended into one, into one, and that one is a samadhi of Dhammata. And so he said, that is my food. And that's why I don't need to eat much, I can sustain myself without almost any food at all. And next he says, because of thirst, I was worried and searched for drink. The drink was mindfulness and awareness's beer of Amrita. So it's not a normal beer as we know it. It's a beer of Amrita. And what is that? That is mindfulness and awareness. I have that and I drink it as my beverage. Of course, it's figure of speech. That it's mindfulness and awareness cannot be your beverage, but that is what keeps me from being thirsty, because I'm always what's the word? I'm always feeling, the heavenly taste of Amrita, of like honey, or the sweet juice, feeling of being completely mindful and aware. Now I have no worry over thirst. Then he says, because of sadness, I was worried and searched for a companion. Page 10. That companion was the companion of the continuity of bliss emptiness. So instead of an external friend or companion, he has this internal companion, which is the unity of bliss and emptiness. So it is emptiness, but that emptiness is, like I said again and again already, is not nothing. So what is it in this case? It is emptiness in unity with, or blended with bliss. So that kind of bliss or joy or happiness is free from any fixation or attachment. The kind of bliss and joy that Milarepa experiences is not something that he holds on to, not something that he wishes to maintain or to increase or to fixate on. He doesn't, because that experience comes from no fixation. It is only when there's no fixation that experience of bliss emptiness can truly, truly arise and truly, truly continue spontaneously without trying to maintain it. So you don't have to worry about being attached to it, because anyone with attachment, that experience just will not arise. So that's what he meant. So because there's no attachment, interestingly enough, the fact that there's no attachment brings bliss. We are attached to bliss and joy, but then it goes away, and really it's because we're attached to it. That fixation, that attachment, that mental affliction of being attached is what makes all the good things go away. But if we're not attached to it, and it's simply there and it will not go. But we're talking about a different state of mind. It's not a regular state of mind. The state of mind where there's no attachment, then the happiness and joy is always there. And that's why he said, that's my companion. That kind of bliss is my companion, because it never leaves. Now I have no worry over sadness, because he's always happy that he's always has that companion of bliss emptiness. Next he sings, because of being mistaken, I was worried and searched for a path. That path was the open and spacious path of union. The path of union is what we've been talking about, actually, is the union of emptiness and something else. The core of that union is always emptiness. And because emptiness itself has many qualities, so all those qualities are in union, kind of, figuratively speaking. The core is emptiness. And because of all the qualities that it's endowed with, so we can say, okay, this quality is in union with emptiness, and that quality is in union with emptiness, because it's part of emptiness. That's why. So we say bliss emptiness, because bliss is already part of emptiness. And we say wisdom emptiness, or insight emptiness, because it's already part of emptiness. Compassion emptiness, or lucidity emptiness, or clarity emptiness, or form and emptiness. These are all already in one, so they're in union. And form and emptiness may be harder to understand. We would think form and emptiness are completely different, opposite things. But all form arises from emptiness. That's why they're in union. Okay, so he says, now I have no worry over mistakes, because he's already on the right path of union. This yogi who has everything desired, wherever I stay, I'm happy. Yeah, everything that everyone desires, he already has it, so I'm happy wherever I am. At Yomo Tiger Fortress, one's hair stand on end at the tiger's roar. With that, one can't help but strictly keep to retreat. Compassion is roused at the tiger cub's play. With that, one can't help but cultivate bodhicitta. So everything, it seems like in these sentences, everything around him arouses in him something positive, even if it's something scary. Still, it arouses in him something good, such as the tiger's roar makes him want to just keep, stay in retreat, and tiger cubs play and arouses bodhicitta and compassion. And the next line says, the howl of monkeys makes me feel uneasy. But, saying that, at the same time, he says, with that, one can't help but become disillusioned, disillusioned with all the ignorant activities of sentient beings. So he's not interested anymore. The clamor of young monkeys makes me laugh. With that, one can help but cultivate altruistic intention. So everything, every sound, every sight that he experiences makes all the positive qualities in him grow even more. The cuckoo's melody makes one feel sad. With that, tears cannot help but fall. The changing melodious voice of the dark, with that the ear cannot help but be pleased. Large black raven with their copious caws are the companions of yogis and help their minds. Staying in a place like this, I'm naturally happy. When I have no companions, I'm happier still. Yeah, anyway, all his experience is saying here, it's like, what? You have no companions and you're happier without companion. So I think by now we already understand, his mind, the mind that he experiences is so vastly differently from ours, isn't it? May this yogi's song of happy experience clear away the suffering of wandering beings. So may his happy experience remove the suffering of beings. That's his prayer and aspiration. So now we can see, we can never judge a great master by their outer appearance. Outwardly, Milarepa, if he were living today and we were to meet him, and without knowing who he really is, we might think, oh, who's this miserable beggar, right? And he's probably not very good looking, and he just appears to be extremely poor. And so, outer appearance and outer external behavior cannot be a good judge of what a person's level of realization is. By looking at these songs, we realize that, no matter how poor Milarepa may appear to be to the eyes of ordinary people, he was not what he appeared to be. His mind is vastly different from what an ordinary person's mind may be. So in that way, we should, with these great masters in the past or present, we should be very respectful to them because they have achieved the realization of mind's nature, which is not easy. It's not an easy matter. And we're all on the same path to achieve that. And so they deserve a lot of respect. And therefore, this is just a side note to these great masters, whether we see any defect of them in them or not, it does not affect their own greatness, whether they appear to be this or not, or that, whether their behavior or speech seem like there is some sort of defect, it is only in the eyes of the unknowing, in the eyes of the wise, in the eyes of the realized, everything that the realized great master does has no defect, because their mind is such that they're already free from any kind of defect, because their mind is emptiness itself already. So I just wanted to mention this. And emptiness cannot have any defect. Can there be? Can you say it's beyond any kind of criticism or any kind of comparison or understanding even, You can't understand, it's not easy to understand emptiness. And so you can't criticize emptiness because you don't understand it. And it has nothing that can be described as truly this or that. We're saying, oh, it has this quality and that quality, but you can't say that that's what it is, because this is not something that we can really truly comprehend. So that being the case, and that being the mind of the great masters, there's nothing that we can truly criticize or judge. And so I think we need to learn from these songs a good lesson, that the mind that is already, that the mind that has already realized itself, which is emptiness, cannot be judged, cannot be criticized. Is that clear? Okay, questions? That was quick. That was kind of short. Yeah.
Anastasia, thank you so much for sharing these. A question regarding the fact that these were nuns. It struck me that he did not differentiate between male and female, and took it sounds like female students.
Yeah.
And I just thought that struck me, and I wondered if, because at the time that this was being sung, that was potentially unusual that he would do that.
Maybe during his time, in the old times, whether in Tibet or in India in particular, women were not treated equally as men. And it is striking that Milarepa made no discrimination or distinction between male and female. But it is also not surprising. I mean, what a great mind he has, It's petty to make distinctions between different genders, So yeah, he made absolutely no distinction. He had many female students. Foremost of them were actually, he actually treasured a lot. He cherished those female students a lot. Spent a lot of time talking to them. Yeah. Yeah.
So emptiness and life.
Yeah.
Okay, so that I understand emptiness. And I'll try to get my head around it. So what you're saying, I was having some confusion around the discussion of emptiness and discussion of finding emptiness, because I know this can't be right, but this is where I got confused. It was sounding to me like there's emptiness and then there's mind, which is empty.
No, it's not that. Okay. Emptiness and the mind are not two different things. It's not like the mind realizes emptiness. I have to admit, I have said that the mind, recognizes itself. The mind realizes itself, which is emptiness. But even that, I mean, the reason why I phrased it this way is to try to avoid using the word me or I. Like, my mind realizes emptiness. It's mine, still mine. But if there is a me and my mind in it, then there will be no realization, You have to work and practice until the point where you have given up the notion that there is an I, And at that point, then you can gradually then get into the true mind. And the true mind itself is already emptiness. It does not need to be recognized or be realized or be experienced, actually. I've been saying it's realized, it's experienced, or it's recognized. But it already is. It is what it is. You know what I mean? Sometimes I would say that nature of mind is revealed to you, but it's actually, there's a defect in that kind of speech, because that nature of mind is already what it is. It does not need to be revealed. And especially it's not revealed to you. Because that mind is already you, so what are you talking about?
So, but hard switch. Your form is emptiness, emptiness is form, okay, it's not other than form. So can we also say mind is form, mind is not, form is mind is not other than form? I mean, can they be synonyms for one another?
Can you say that mind is form?
Yeah, I don't think that's right.
No, it is not right.
Yeah,
Mm.
okay, so mind and emptiness are not synonyms. They aren't the same word to describe it. I know, okay, I understand there's not duality, so mind and emptiness can't be
Well,
non-dual, right?
the the way it's usually described is that the nature of mind is emptiness. And so you can then from there say mind is emptiness because its nature is emptiness. But it's dangerous to say mind and emptiness are they're synonyms. They're not. Without really clarifying what you're saying. Yeah. You have similar confusion too? Okay. Yes.
I'd like to examine the fact that this is a song. And I've been thinking that in contrast to the singing we did, which was very much appreciated, we're rehearsing something. This strikes me as one of its characteristics of Milarepa is he's singing spontaneously. This just gushes forth. The fact that he sings has something to do with his expression what he knows.
Yes.
Because if he could only do this in song, and just questions went on in my head. Are there teachers today who sing in this sense, who produce spontaneous songs, or is it more common, which I would expect, not criticizing you, but that it's rehearsed?
Rehearsing?
We sing a song that someone has already composed.
Uh-huh.
As opposed to spontaneous poetry.
We meaning who? Just us or teachers?
Yes.
These days? Not necessarily. I mean, everyone has a different approach to how they teach and how they convey what they have realized, And to Milarepa, this is how he spontaneously expressed himself, to his students so that they understand what he was trying to convey and what he was trying to teach them. But that is actually quite an unusual approach. You don't hear about other teachers in history that just sang and said didn't just teach. They most of the time they just taught. They didn't really they would compose songs, but they wouldn't just sing it. And for one thing, if you sing, people may not understand the words because the tones get a little twisted, and so you might, what was he saying? Sometimes like that, you hear an English song, sometimes you hear the song, but you can't hear the lyrics very clearly. But for some reason, I think it's because of his realization and his blessing, everyone who heard his songs understood clearly, it seems, what he was saying. Yeah. And so I think it's just a different, everyone has a different approach, and not that they're necessarily not spontaneous. That's just my thought.
Rick has a question online.
Okay, yes, please.
Hi, thank you very much for this weekend. 40 years ago, I began studying Zen in a Korean school in Boston. And I have been interested in your school, and I just moved right around the corner so I could come to the little Dharma room. But I don't remember as much focus in the Zen tradition of happiness and bliss, because life is suffering. And at that moment when you are experiencing pain or sadness or grief, then Zen is sadness, Zen is grief. But Milarepa's focus on how happy he is and how blissful he is, uh, I'd like to know if you can help me understand or reconcile his denouncing the negative emotions and being so happy and so blissful. Uh, how is that so?
He was denouncing what?
The sadness, the negative emotions, and pronouncing how happy and how blissful he was. Does this tradition also make room for those those times when life is really sadness or life is not bliss and life is not happy? Am I making sense?
Yeah. Well, last year I taught Miller songs of renunciation, and those are not happy songs,
Ah,
made people very sad.
okay.
So to make it up.
Oh, okay. Very good. Just keep studying, keep coming back, I see.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
There's
Thank you.
many aspects of his
Well,
song.
as I said, I live around the corner, so I hope to come.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Any other questions? Yeah.
Just another question. I'm new to this tradition, so the idea of shame is mentioned as one of the benefits or one of the
Seven riches, yes.
seven riches. And I wonder if this is my misinterpretation, but I think of shame as being fearful and self-focused. So I'm wondering if I misunderstand how shame, or maybe I think humility maybe, but shame brings up a different connotation. I'm wondering if you could help me understand how this is a benefit to feel that.
Yeah, I think humility is probably a better translation. But shame also, I think, plays a part in helping us to be humble, to recognize that we do have defects and that we regret whatever negative action that we have done, and then we feel bad about it. I think it can be taken as something positive and constructive as well. Okay. Okay. Did we sing it yet? Okay. Page. What is it? Page 9. Yes. Okay, page 9, let's start. Using the same melody as before. Unfortunately, I wish we could sing it in English in that nice melody, and everybody seemed to enjoy it so much. I don't know the melody. So if someone is willing to lead, I'm happy to let them, to sing in English, but I unfortunately don't. And unless I think the translation is modified, it'd be very difficult to sing in English. It gets too long and hard to fit it all in. Okay, anyway, we sing in Tibetan because that's the words of the great yogi Milarepa. Nghe she trong ba ze do so nghe che ge 도네 가제세 가네주니 동백갈 다시게 도방알라메 예창게 도네 그시성 그니 들모시그 다창게 도방알라메 예우게 도네 노시서 너니 세메 파노든 다우게 도바 알라메 예도게 도네 세시서 세네 주니 딘세세 다도게 도방알라메 예공게 도네 동화사 동화 전시 주세청 다공게 도방알라메 예교회 도네 조시사 조니 대동 윤기조 타교회 도방알라메 예노게 도네 담시삼 남니 송주 양배람 달노게 도바 알라메 노드고 상외 난종아 내간도 대경기발도 유모다보 생계송 다멍하게 계샤사 대왕의 구삼 탐도주 다다주게 세쇼닝제게 대왕매도 장샘 공도주 제우스자 신라자 대왕매도 교세계로주 대척의 보좌근인들 대왕매도 sem계공도주 구충경 아닌 이사교 대왕매도 심마소도주 조계 교계 나와년 대왕매도 나와년 도주 자로게 자게 나소바 난쇼도조 셈라벤 내대자 대낭안기기 조직야메나 대외기 난쇼기베 냠양디 조웨 동아 세와쇼 나조게베 냠양디 조웨 동아 세와쇼. Then finally it says, when he had sung this, disillusionment and revulsion toward worldly things arose strongly for the disciples there. They offer the commitment never to come down from the mountains, and through meditation, they all gained final attainment in their virtuous activity. So just 2 songs did it. Now we have, how many songs have we read? We're still here. Okay. Next song is from chapter 8. The offering of the pigeon goddess girl. In Jeju Milarepa, the Jeju River left Yomo and journeyed to, so Yomo was where he was just before. He journeyed to Tibet. So Yomo obviously was not in Tibet nowadays. So now he's back to Tibet, according to prophecy, the prophecy from his teacher Marba, that he should go back to Tibet. In a cave in Gutang, while alone like a rhinoceros residing in the state of luminosity, there came a pigeon wearing a dangling gold earring. Pigeon wearing an earring. Where? They don't have ears, do they? So it must be on their leg, maybe? I don't know. As though prostrating, the pigeon bowed her body and nodded her head as she circumambulated Milarepa many times. So circumambulating means, she's paying respect to him. Then she flew in the direction of Immaculate Rock, knowing that this was the invitation of a spirit. So it was not just a pigeon, it was a spirit or a goddess appearing in the form of a goddess. The Jizin went over to her. There sat a pile of white rice, which the pigeon began to offer to him with her beak. As before, she prostrated and circumambulated and then flew away. The Jizun, with great joy and amazement, sang the song of realization. So he begins with Emaho, is an expression of wonders. How wondrous is what it means, Emaho. Again, he pays homage to his teacher, Marba of Lota, who has been so kind. By remember you from my heart, I meditate with you there. And here I just wanted to mention, we would attribute Milarepa's success in his practice probably mostly to his diligence, his environment where there's no distraction, no one could come and distract him. But truly, I'm sure he attributed all his accomplishment to his teacher, Marba, his guru, Marba. He would never say, I did it myself, look, He would most definitely say, it's all because my guru, Marba's blessing and instruction that I was able to accomplish the path. And it's not just his blessing and his instructions to him. It's also his own practice that always combines Guru Yoga with his practice. In other words, any practice and every practice that he does, I think, this is just what I think that those practices are never separate from Guru Yoga, never separate from thinking of his Guru Marpa as the deity that he prays to. His Guru is the source of his inner heat, the source of his taming of his winds and channels, the source of his accomplishment of realization, the source of all the resources that he needed, however little they may be. Everything is because of the blessing and the providing of the teacher. I think that's the case. So here he says, I'm remembering from my heart, I meditated with you there. So his Guru, Marpa, is always in his heart, never separate. And I think that's the key to his success. Especially in the Gamakaju lineage, the lineage that we are in, many of us are in, that is the secret to success. That's the key to success, is always remember your Guru in your heart. Whatever you do, whatever practice you do, or whatever activity you perform, always remember. And never separate from him or her. And because it's the source of blessing. And that blessing is the source of accomplishment. So I just wanted to mention this. Again and again, I supplicate you to never be separate from me. Mixing one's mind with the gurus is so blissful, he says. Okay, so that's why. Now the secret is out. It's to mix your mind with the guru's mind. That is why he says, I'm so blissful. Because the guru's mind is bliss. And so if you mix your mind with the guru's mind, you also, experience that bliss. Alala. Alala is like, oh my goodness, Alala, oh wow, The nature of appearances is pointed out as birthless Dharmakaya. And he didn't say, it was pointed out by my guru. But he didn't need to say that. Because whether it was by my guru or whether it was, spontaneously manifest, it doesn't matter. It's all because of the guru. So I have realized, in other words, I have been shown that all appearances in their nature is Dharmakaya, which is without arising or perishing. So that's why it's birth is. If there's no birth, then of course there's no death, right? So it's beyond birth and death. And what is that? That is Dharmakaya. We know the Buddha has 3 kayas, right? 3 kaya means body. So it has Dharmakaya, which is what it said here. And then from that Dharmakaya, which is wisdom itself, from that wisdom, then there's the 2 other kayas that arise from that wisdom. The first one is Sambhoga kaya, or the enjoyment body. And that can only be seen and experienced by bodhisattvas from the 1st to the 10th level. It cannot be experienced by ordinary sentient beings. And then the second kaya, or second body, is Nirmana kaya, the emanation body. So that emanation can be in any form or shape whatsoever, according to the needs of sentient beings, in order to benefit them. So that's Nirmana kaya, the emanation body. So these 3 bodies. And now he's saying, because, all these appearances, they all come from that single source. That single source is the nature of all things. And that nature of all things is Dharmakaya. Therefore, now that I have, the Milarepa is saying that Milarepa has realized Dharmakaya, which is unborn or birthless. Now that I have realized that, I have also realized at the same time, what all things are about. So the Buddha has two kinds of wisdom. The wisdom that knows everything that there is. They know absolutely everything. And then the second wisdom is the wisdom that knows the nature of all things. And that nature is now pointed out as the birthless Dharmakaya here. This is what the Buddha knows. Next he sings, as they merge uncontrived with the state of Dharmakaya, and they merge uncontrived with the state of Dharmakaya. That's what merges with the state of Dharmakaya? Let me see. Yes, I think so. But it's the reason I have some kind of hesitation is because the nature of appearances is already Dharmakaya, so it does not need to merge. You know what I mean? Does not need to merge with Dharmakaya. So anyway, it may have something to do with the translation, but according to the Tibetan, it seems to be correct translation. So I'm sorry, I don't know how to explain this.
Maybe it's the mixing one's mind with the gurus.
I think this is probably a separate topic than the mixing with the minds of the guru. Mm-hmm. Oh no, okay, I think it's probably this. I think it's this. Because, okay, maybe we can say that because I have been instructed, I have been pointed out that the nature of appearances is Dharmakaya. So now my experience is that it is so. So I have experienced and realized the nature of appearances. It naturally is the state of Dharmakaya. So there's like two steps. First, I was pointed out this fact, and now I experience that is so. So what I've been pointed out is now mixed with what the fact is, maybe something like that. Anyway, for you to figure out. Yeah, you're very smart. Okay, next it says, I'm not concerned whether some views are high and others low. This uncontrived mind is so blissful indeed. So I think basically what he's saying is views do not have anything to do with this nature of mind. You can have a high view. You can say, oh, the nature of everything is emptiness. That's a very high view, the Mahamudra, or the highest view. And then you can have a low view of relatively, everything is cause and condition, and there's a cycle of existence, that's samsara, blah, blah. It's not low, but it's not the ultimate, right? And that's just an appearance, but in its nature, it's still just emptiness. So whenever you talk about the nature, then it's kind of considered a higher view. Whenever you're talking about the appearances of that nature, then it's kind of consider maybe just ordinary view, relative view. Maybe that's what he's saying. But anyway, he's saying, well, high view, low view, it doesn't matter. I don't care. Because my mind is always blissful. So I don't care. It does not affect how I feel, you know? And that bliss is uncontrived. So that's another word we can that can help us to understand what kind of bliss he has. It's uncontrived mind. That uncontrived mind means you're not trying to make the mind do something or feel something or be blissful or to be free from suffering or nothing or to be nothing. You're not contriving the mind. By not contriving and just be spontaneous and natural, that is blissful. The nature of mind is luminosity, emptiness. This we talked about previously. That luminosity, emptiness is pointed out as awareness. So in the Nyingma tradition especially, they like to use the word Rigpa in Tibetan. Rigpa is translated as awareness. And that awareness should not be confused with their awareness that is just being aware. You know what I mean? Being aware has a different word in Tibetan, which is Sheshin. So here is Rigpa. Rigpa is that primordial awareness of the mind. That's called Rigpa. So that primordial awareness is luminous, you know, and is emptiness in union. So that's what he's talking about here. And they merge in the uncontrived innate state. So emptiness and luminosity are one. You can't really say they merge. But here, you know, just for convenience sake, we say they merge in that uncontrived innate state where, you know, it is already, you know, in a state where they're never separate anyway. Their luminosity and emptiness have never been separate. So we can't really say that they merge. But, you know, just for the sake of expressing it, we can say they merge when the mind is in an uncontrived, innate, natural state. Then that natural state of luminosity, emptiness, naturally manifests. That's what it's saying there. I'm not concerned over good or bad meditation. This uncontrived mind is so blissful indeed. So it has nothing to do with good or bad meditation, because that uncontrived mind is beyond meditation. It is just itself, you know. It is just being completely manifest, completely clear. The six consciousnesses clear right in its own place. So the sixth consciousness, the consciousness of the ear consciousness, the eyes, nose, tongue, body, and the mental consciousness. So these are the six consciousnesses. They have always been clear in their own place, are pointed out as non-dual, free of perceiver and perceived. So we usually experience these six consciousnesses as there being a perceiver, you know, mind, I'm perceiving through my ears, and so I can hear, you know, so it's dualistic. But here it's been pointed out as non-dual, because in reality there is no perceiver, and because of that there's also no perceived. And both pleasure and pain are merged into one. So when there's freedom of perceiver and perceived, then pleasure and pain cannot be distinguished anymore. with this body uncontrived in its primordial state, I'm not concerned over right or wrong conduct. Now, make no mistake, uh, an enlightened person, truly enlightened person, they can do anything, such as, Deloba, fishing as his career, for his livelihood. We would say, well, killing the fish, but he was actually saving the fish. You don't know it, it's just people can't tell what he was doing. Outwardly, it looked like he was harming the fish, but inwardly, each fish that he caught, he was saving them and liberating them. So that's the difference, and that hidden difference is huge, and ordinary people can't see that, and they can't do it either. They don't have the ability to save when they catch it. When it's harmed. You can't liberate them. You can free them from suffering. But the truly great masters can. They have the ability to do that. So when we read here, Milarepa is saying, "Oh, I'm not concerned over right or wrong conduct." You might say, What are you talking about? There's of course right conduct and wrong conduct." Well, he's beyond that. Whatever he does, you can be reassured that it's because of his compassion and bodhicitta, whatever he does and says. And whatever skillful means that he applies in order to benefit others, through his compassion and bodhicitta, it can appear to be harmful to us. Like, why is he, slandering this person? Or why is he, what is he doing, why is he killing this animal or something like that? But there is a hidden purpose, there's a hidden benefit that ordinary eyes cannot see or perceive. Of course, here he's not saying that, I am above you guys, I have the freedom to do anything I want. He's not saying that. He's just trying to point out the fact that in that primordial state, in the mind's primordial state, it is beyond right or wrong. It is beyond any kind of discrimination. In fact, you might remember in last year's classes, we had a story about Milarepa. He went to a place where he saw I think it was a sheep. A sheep was being killed, you remember? It was a horrible scene, they just killed the sheep. There was blood. There's not just one, there are many sheep that were being killed, and blood all over the place. And particularly this poor sheep, they were, as soon as it was killed, they cut up his belly and pulled the intestines out, right? And the sheep was like crying like hell, and he just shed so many tears, he couldn't bear it, remember? Yeah, so, and then you might say, well, why is he saying there's no right or wrong conduct? Of course there is, but you're talking, you have to know there's the relative truth and there's the ultimate truth, the absolute truth. And he's saying, in this case, the ultimate truth. In the realm or the state or in the sense of ultimate or absolute truth, there is no right or wrong. Because it transcends right or wrong. Okay? But when it comes to actual relative truth of conducting your day-to-day business and doing things, there is a definite right or wrong. You don't kill, you don't harm. That is very important. At this point, I have to emphasize, is very, very important, because there are people who, and I have known people who are confused about the relative truth and absolute truth, to the point where they originally had a nice shrine, and one day they decided, oh, it's all just emptiness, whether I have a shrine or not, it doesn't matter, so dismantle everything on the shrine. It's like, it doesn't matter. That is confusing relative and absolute truth. Emptiness is not nothing, and emptiness does not mean nothing exists. Relatively, everything still exists. Ultimately, every existence nature is emptiness, but that emptiness does not mean it does not exist. It's very subtle, but you understand, right? So don't go home and say, oh, emptiness, I know. I don't need this, I don't need that either. Everything is just empty. Yes and no, you have to be sure that you understand it clearly. Okay. Okay, so third to the last line. The fruition is the nature of Dharmakaya. So the fruition, the final result we want to attain is that Dharmakaya, which is nature of everything. The variety is pointed out as Nimanakaya. So from that Dhammakaya, all the variety of things, everything that there is, can manifest. And we say that's Nimanakaya, the emanation body. Everything, when encountered, is merged with the state of liberation. But I have no hope of any fruition. He's beyond having hopes or no hopes, So when he says, I have no hope, it doesn't mean he feels hopeless. He just means that I'm not wishing for anything, His mind is beyond, gain or loss. And whatever he encounters, it is always encountered in the state of liberation, in a state of bliss. He's not bound by anything that he encounters, in other words. So finally, he sings, this uncontrived mind is so blissful indeed. So just the mind itself, you don't have to make it into anything. Just leave it as it is. That as it is itself is so blissful indeed. That's how we should meditate. So we will spend just 1 minute. Just try to. We shouldn't try. Then that would be counterproductive. But we don't want to be productive either. Just be natural. It's very tricky. You have to be careful what I say. So anyway, let's just be whatever it is. Let the mind be natural. Leave it as it is. Try and not try. Just be whatever it is. Do this meditation. And maybe we'll get a taste of what Milarepa is saying. Maybe not. It doesn't matter. Just do it, okay? Just for a minute. And we'll begin. Okay. Okay, let's sing the song. Hai ma chen jie ma ba lo cha ba ni ne chen bei ni du gong yang yang cha me so wa de ra se na ma je be de a la la na wa shi ge ra shen de kie me che gu ngo zhe be ma je che gu ngang du zhe da wa to me zi da me se ma che ba di de mo da dong sa sem ge rang shen de sa dong je ba ngo je be ma je niu me ngang do je Kom sang en ge se da da la me se ma je ba de de mo da so ju rang sa dian ba la song zi ni me ngo zhe be de do ni bo zhe do zhe ma zhe niu me ngang do zhe je ba ye me ge zi da da la me se ma je ba de de mo da je bo che gu rang shen de na so zhu gu ngo zhe be du zhe zhen zhuo ye ngang du zhe hu su xiu ye yan da la me se ma zhe ba di de mo da. Okay. So time is up. If you have questions, let's save it for tomorrow. Let's chant the longevity, prayers, and dedication.
We'll go to the closing section, the last tab in the book. And turn one page to a prayer for the swift return of Kenshin Trungpa Rinpoche. Through the primal, pure great bliss of the Dharma expanse and illusory play of appearance and emptiness unified, Vajradhara, you are the Lord of all existence and peace. Incomparable Guru, I prostrate at your feet. Great hero who protects all helpless beings tormented in the deep oceans of samsara by the 100,000 sharks of afflictions and karma. Soul Father, Venerable Guru, I miss you now. Think of us, kind Lord of Dharma. Look at us, O teacher, lion of speech. The lamp of happiness of the teachings and beings has run out of oil. Now think of us with compassion. Your body of learning, venerability, and goodness grew to full strength. Your mane of listening, contemplation, and meditation touched the sky. Loud was your roar of teaching, debate, and composition. Lion of speech, we beg you, return soon. Come back soon, great being who preserves and spreads the golden thread of the fine traditions of teaching and practice of the Dakpo Kagyu among all the Kagyu, and the Karma Kamsang among all practice lineages. O hosts of Kagyu gurus in the realm of Akanishta, come forth like seeds spilling from a bushel of sesame, and invoke the venerable guru's compassion. Make the moon of his emanation rise soon. Great, glorious Kala and Mahakali, 72 haughty spirits and your messengers, be the protectors who bring the young son of the supreme Nirmanakaya back to this realm. By the power of the truth of the ocean of Guru's three roots, and the fervent one-pointed faith of us disciples, may there be the unfailing cause and effect that fulfills all we ask for in its entirety. And now the long life prayers. Gyal kun ying je rang su karma pa, gyal kun trin le chik du karma pa, gyal kun dong so pong kur karma pa, or gendro dol trin le shop ten so. Lama ku kam sang war sol wa de, chok tu ku se ring war sol wa de, trin le da shing ye la sol wa de, lama dang dra war me par jing je lo. Palden la me sha pe ten padang, Kanyam Yong La De Ki Jung Wadang, Dakshan Malu Sok Sak Trip Nyang Ne, Nyurdu Sangye Sala Gur Parsho. And the dedication of merit. Sanam Diye Tam Che Zik Pani, Tovne nye pedranam pamchene, Jeganachi malabrupai, Sipe sole droa roashon.
Thank you. See you tomorrow. Have a good evening.
Just a brief announcement. So we're going to be using the shrine room for interviews. So I would just ask everyone leave right away.